Hello and welcome to Win Without Law School. I'm Arizona lawyer Julie Lebenz. Today we are going to talk about how to file for to establish custody. So how to file to establish potentially paternity, legal decision-making, parenting time, and child support. So this is in a situation where two people have had one or more children together, but they've never been married. So you're not going through a divorce because you've never been married, but your relationship is ended and you need papers in place to get a parenting plan established or decision-making, paternity, or child support, usually all of the above. So this is for a contested case. In the last video, we talked about how to proceed if you can reach an agreement. So this is a situation where at the outset, you haven't reached an agreement and you want to file and get your case started. Okay, so we're going to cover 5 different things today. Number one, we're going to talk about how to file the petition to establish, what that entails to initiate your case. So we'll do one first video with that information. We'll do a second video about service of process. What do you do once you've filed? How do you give your co-parent notice that you've filed pursuant to law? And then we'll do a third video and it'll cover steps 3 and 4 about how to respond to a petition to establish and what happens after a response is filed. And then we'll do we'll do a 4th video about default, and then we'll do a final video that summarizes all of this information. First, I want to explore this question of when do you need to request to establish paternity? You will need to request to establish paternity in certain situations. If the father of at least one of your children to be named in your establishment order is not named on the child's birth certificate as the child's birth father as a result of the father signing an affidavit of paternity. And paternity has not otherwise been established. So father's not on the birth certificate, father did not sign an affidavit of paternity, paternity has not otherwise been established. That's when you'll want to include a request to establish paternity in your petition. Most cases, the affidavit of paternity was signed at the time the child was born at the hospital. So if that's the case, then paternity has been established. But if it hasn't been, then you'll need to include that. If it has been, then you don't need to include a request for paternity. What are the forms that you'll need to draft an e-file if you're requesting to establish paternity, legal decision-making, parenting time, and child support? First is the sensitive data cover sheet. It's also known as the confidential information form. Second is a summons. Third, the preliminary injunction. Fourth, your petition. Fifth, a parenting plan proposal. Sixth, the order and notice to attend the parent information program class. 7, a child support worksheet. All right, and we're going to go over these forms. So let's start with the sensitive data cover sheet. It's also known as the confidential sensitive data form. If you're not the person filing the petition, you're not the petitioner, but you're going to be the respondent and you're going to file a response. When you file your response, you will also file one of these sensitive data forms. So this is what the form looks like for Maricopa County. You can see this is the Family Department sensitive data cover sheet with children. So this is the form with children, and you just fill out the information the best you can. If you are outside of Maricopa County, you may find that your court uses this form I'm going to show you next. The form I'm going to show you is from Yavapai County, but it's pretty common in the rural counties. And this first page, you don't file with the court. It's just for your information, but it lets you know that sensitive data are social security numbers, bank account numbers, credit card numbers, or other financial account numbers, and driver's license numbers. So that would be what fits under sensitive data. And then this is what the form looks like in Yavapai County and many of the outlying counties. So all the same form, you can use any of these. It's just to protect confidential information. Okay, second is the summons. So this is a standard form. If you are outside of Maricopa County, you can get the summons form from your county website, or you can use this one and just cross out Maricopa and put, write in your county. So this is the summons. You're going to fill out this top part. You're going to fill out the names of the parties. You won't have a case number yet. You'll get that upon filing, so that would stay blank. And then here, you're going to put the name of the respondent. The name of the opposing party would go there. That's all you need to do. The court will fill this out upon you filing. So that's it for the summons. Then there's the preliminary injunction. So this again is the Maricopa County form. Change this if you're in a different county. Fill out the top, fill out the parties. You won't have a case number yet. So that's just fine. You'll get that upon filing. And then this indicates if you're filing for legal decision-making and parenting time and you want the court to issue a preliminary injunction, you must file at least one of the following papers with the petition: a copy of the birth certificate that lists father as a parent of the child subject to the petition, an affidavit or acknowledgement signed by the father admitting paternity, an adoption order listing both parties as parents, or a court order establishing paternity. So first, in order for the court to issue this document, you need to show that paternity has been established. So this would apply, or you pick which one applies in your case. And then if the court's going to issue this preliminary injunction, it orders both parties to not molest, harass, disturb the peace, or commit an assault or battery against each other or any child they have in common. And neither party can remove any children they have in common from Arizona and from the jurisdiction of the court without prior written consent of the parties or permission of the court. So if you're in Maricopa County and this injunction was issued, you wouldn't be able to remove the children in common to the two parties under this preliminary injunction. You wouldn't be able to remove them from Maricopa County without the prior written consent of the parties or the permission of the court. Both parties may not remove or cause to be removed any child of the parties from an existing insurance policy. So you can't change medical, hospital, dental, automobile, or disability insurance for a child in common once this preliminary injunction is issued. So both parties must maintain all insurance coverage in full force and effect during the petition process. Okay, so this is the preliminary injunction. The court will fill out the date and it'll be signed by the court. So that's the preliminary injunction. Next, we're going to look at the petition to establish. Now, the form I have includes paternity. There's a separate form below this video that does not include paternity. So use the form that applies in your case. The forms are the same, just the paternity form has the additional paternity information in it. So you don't need, so it's okay that we're just going over the petition that has the paternity stuff in it because everything else is going to be the same. Okay. All right. So here's the petition. So again, this process is for parties who have never been married. There's a separate case initiation video for parties going through a divorce, but this is for parties who have a child or children in common and are no longer living together and want to get parenting time orders in place, legal decision-making, and child support. So here's the petition. So again, this is the one that covers paternity, but if paternity has already been established in your case, then you'd access the form that doesn't include paternity. And then you'll include what you want established: legal decision-making, parenting time, child support, vital records. This is related to paternity. So this is saying Check this box if the Department of Vital Records is ordered to change the birth records of a child born in Arizona. So change the birth records to add a father. That would be something to check here if that's what you wanted. Here, information about the petitioner, fill that out. Here, information about the respondent. Venue, this is the proper court to bring the case in because it is the county of residence of either party or of the minor children. And then here, this is how you can establish that this court has jurisdiction to establish custody. And you would check all the boxes that are true. So why am I filing this court case against the other party in Arizona? So the opposing party is a resident of Arizona. I believe that I will personally serve the person in Arizona. The person agrees to have the case heard here and will file written papers in the court. The person lived with a minor child in this state at some time. The person lived in this state and provided pre-birth expenses or support for the minor child. This is getting into jurisdictional issues. The minor child lives in this state as a result of the acts or directions of the person. The person had sexual intercourse in this state as a result of which the minor child may have been conceived. The person signed an affidavit acknowledging paternity. The person did any other acts that substantially connect the person to Arizona. So you'll just need to check all the boxes that are true in your case. Yes, these forms that I'm going through, these are within the members area. So you'll be able to access these forms. Okay, now this part is about paternity. If you're using the other form that doesn't include paternity, this part will not be in there. So as far as paternity goes, just fill this out. Check which box applies. Why do you think the person is the father of the minor child or children? So indicate why. And then about marriage, again, this is all related to paternity. Indicate what was going on with marriage at the time the child was conceived. Here's information about the minor children. So information about child support. You'll want to just go through here and fill this out. Child's residence. And this will be a box for each child that is at issue in the petition. This is part of some statements that are made to confirm Arizona has jurisdiction. So what the courts have found is that sometimes people will forum shop. They'll go from one state and maybe that state issues a custody order they don't like. And so they'll move to another state and just issue a new case and be like, oh, let's start fresh and act like that other order was never entered. And so these questions help the court determine if that type of situation has unfolded. So these are questions about whether or not there's any other case going on related to these children. And then there's some additional information to provide to the court about expenses, about the parent information program, the parenting class, and then also domestic violence. So fill these parts out depending on your situation. And then switch to the next page here. Here's information about alcohol or drug use. So fill that out. I've got another question, just a second. I'm going to save that question for the Q&A after because it's far afield from where we're at right now. So we'll address that later. Okay, so part 16, paragraph 16, this is where you're going to list information about alcohol or drug convictions within the last 12 months. And then finally, this is the request to the court. What do you want the court to do about paternity? What do you want the court to do about the birth certificate? Do you want a name change for the child? Primary residence of the minor children, parenting time and authority for legal decision-making. Which party's home shall be in the main residence for each minor child? So indicate that. parenting time, indicate what your requested parenting time schedule is. Now, keep in mind, another option here is you can say, see attachment 1, and you can attach your proposed parenting plan. So that's another way. There's also another form that we're going to get to, which is the proposed parenting plan form, and you can use that as well, which is an additional document to file. Legal decision making. Are you requesting sole or joint legal decision making? Child support. What's your request for child support? You've already done your case strategy creation, so you should know what you're requesting because you've already created your case strategy. So this is where you'll know the amount of child support you're requesting. You'll be able to attach a worksheet with the number. If you're in a position where you're not able to calculate child support yet because you don't have sufficient income information about the other side, then you can indicate that here as well. Write in, I'm not able to submit a child support order just yet. And that's where we've got right here, in an amount set forth in the worksheet filed with this petition. That's where you could cross this out and say, in an amount set forth in the child support worksheet, petitioner will file upon having sufficient information to do so. So, these forms are set with standard language, but keep in mind that you can make changes to them. Another option is to type this out on your own and modify it that way. That obviously is more time consuming, but these forms can be changed. This part right here is about past child support. So child support can start being owed from the moment parents begin living apart. If there's an amount that you're wanting to be paid to you from the time you started living apart to the time you filed, that's where you're going to indicate that here. Okay. Mother's expenses. So if mother incurred hospital expenses or other expenses related to the birth that she would like father to contribute to, she can indicate that in number 6. Number 7, this is where you can indicate who should be responsible for providing medical insurance for the child. Paternity, this is just some standard language that if the other side contests paternity, then order is contested, party A and party B be ordered to submit to paternity testing through a blood test, blood and tissue test, and that the other party pay the costs if he or she contests these proceedings. So essentially, usually how it works is that if the father contests and requires the test, and the test shows that he is the father, then often the court will make the father pay for the test. On the flip side, if the father requests the test and it shows he's not the father, then the court could order the mother to pay potentially. Tax exemption. So here's information about the child tax exemptions, and this is where you can put in your request for those. And then anything else you're requesting goes in paragraph 10. And then you sign before a notary or a clerk of court. And that is your petition to establish. In addition to the petition to establish, you can do the parenting time proposal in this parenting plan document. So fill out your caption, make sure the county's correct for you, and then joint decision making, if that's what you're asking for, or sole, and which party A or party B, you want to have sole legal decision making. Name the minor children, indicate what type of decision making you're asking for, get into details about the year-long parenting time schedule. What do you want to happen with travel? What's the holiday schedule you're requesting? Any additional information you want to add here about educational arrangements? How is that going to work out? Medical and dental arrangements, religious education arrangements, additional arrangements and comments. So each box would be checked for the things that you want the court to order. And then This is where you would sign just, if you're party A, the petitioning party, you would sign here. If you're the responding party, party B, you would sign here. If you and your co-parent are in agreement on this plan, then you both could sign here. There's this part 3, the law requires that if a parent is going to bring a child in common around a registered sex offender, then they need to notify their co-parent. So both parents sign this saying they understand that. And then joint legal decision-making, if that's what you request, the law wants some additional information about domestic violence, as well as DUI or drug convictions. And we covered that in the case strategy creation videos about why these things are important and how they impact joint legal decision-making. And so here's some additional information. You can have an agreement to review your parenting plan every 12 months, 24 months, or longer. When ready, you'll sign. If you have a full agreement, you can sign all of this. But if you don't, you're likely fine just signing on this part and not getting the full notarized signature. If it's just your proposal, I don't see why you would need the notarized signature. If you're reaching an agreement and you're both signing, then yes, have your signatures notarized. All right, the 6th form to file to petition to establish custody is this order and notice to attend parenting information program. So this is a set form for each county. This is the Maricopa County form. You'll want to access the form for your county if you're not in Maricopa. So this is the order and notice to attend parent information class. You'll indicate here, you would be having a paternity with a request to determine legal decision-making or parenting or child support if your case involves paternity. If not, then it would be this box. So you'll fill this out and file it, and then this gives you information about what you need to do in your county to sign up for and complete the parenting class. Here's additional information for Maricopa County, and that's it. So this form gets filed with the court and served on the other side. And then your proposed child support worksheet. So of course, this is a blank one. Go to our child support case strategy videos to see how to fill this out and how to create this worksheet. But if you have sufficient information to calculate child support, you would want to fill this out and it'll get filed with your petition. If you don't have sufficient information, that would be indicated in your petition and you wouldn't file this just yet. All right, so as a review, the forms to file or to draft an e-file to establish, you've got your confidential data form, summons, preliminary injunction, petition to establish, parenting plan proposal, order and notice to attend parenting information program, and your child support worksheet. Okay, so that takes us through step 1. Let's stop this video. That was explaining all the papers to draft an e-file to petition the court to establish paternity, if that's needed in your case, and then legal decision-making, parenting time, and child support. Join us in the next video to learn about service of process.